Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Praise the praises of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Greetings and salawat to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Excuse me, sir. I'm Firkona Jayala with student identification number 204000124 and 006. Allow me to answer your question about assignment 1, phonetics and phonology, that their implication to pronunciation skills. First instruction. What do you know of communication, language, and linguistics? What are their differences and how are they related to one another? In my answer, Kaharudin et al. In their book, English Phonetics Basic Theory and Practice in English Language Pedagogy, define language as a communication tool, a system of sound symbols produced by human speech organ, and a collection of words that have meaning. Similarly, Anja Sirbu, 2015, a Romanian language scholar, stated that language is essentially a means of communication among members of society. However, Kaharudin et al. Also add that language is a communication tool used by humans to demonstrate their ability to communicate with each other. And this ability is formed by knowledge of sound, word, phrase, sentence meaning, and culture. Meanwhile, communication can be simply defined as the process of conveying a message from a sender to receiver using symbols. Thus, communication has three main components: the sender of message, speaker or writer, the message, topic, and the receiver, listener or reader. Basically, humans communicate using two means, language and signs. After finding the difference, we can also find the similarities between language, communication, and linguistics. Namely, language, communication, and linguistics are indirectly connected and independent. Language is the instrument, communication is the purpose of using that instrument, and linguistics is the science that studies it in depth. Second question. Referring to question 1, in what area does phonetics and phonology belong? Please explain your answer in detail. In my answer, phonology and phonetics is integral branch of linguistics. The scientific study of language. Linguistics encompasses various aspects of language, including sounds, structure, meaning, and context. Within the framework of linguistics, phonology and phonetics play specific roles in analyzing speech sound. Phonetics focus on how speech sounds are physically produced, involving the study of human vocal tracts and the acoustic properties of sound. Meanwhile, phonology studies how these sounds function within a language system, including how their differentiating meaning and form pattern in language. Thus, phonology and phonetics, as integral parts of linguistics, provide a deep understanding of the sound aspect of language, which is essential to understand how language functions as a system of communication. Third question. Do phonetics and phonology and pronunciation exist in the same area or context? In my answer, in discussion about learning phonetics and phonology, Indonesian English learners often mistakenly believe that these two fields are identical to pronunciation. However, in reality, phonetics, phonology, and pronunciation are distinct concepts. Phonetic and phonology are branches of linguistic science that especially examine sound in language. On the other hand, pronunciation is language skill belonging to the category of productive skills. Among the three language skills, it turns out that pronunciation is one of micro skills of speaking skills. Speaking can be defined as a communication skill to convey message verbally, in which such as a skill is formed by at least 5 micro skills. Among others, pronunciation, a skill is pronunciation of words and sentence correctly in accordance with pronunciation patterns of a certain language. Vocabulary, the ability to master and to use vocabulary correctly in accordance with the appropriate to master appropriate meaning and context. And 3, grammar, the ability to construct sentence in accordance with the rules of constructing the sentence in a certain language. And 4, coherence, The ability to set up sentences whose meanings are systematically organized so that interlocutors find them easy to understand. And the last, fluency. The ability to perform a certain speech rate delivery in speaking, which might be fast, medium, or slow, depending on a speaker's speaking habit in native or foreign language. Thus, it is clear that the pronunciation is in the area of language skills, while phonetic and phonology that are in the area of linguistics. Fourth question. What do you know of phonetics and pronunciation? What are their difference and how are they relate to each other? In my answer, in the book entitled English Phonetic, page 11, it is explained regarding this. Although the text does not explicitly discuss phonetics, the science of language sound concepts such as a clear and correct pronunciation of word, proper intonation, and accent reduction imply an understanding of phonetic principles. However, it can be concluded that phonetics provides a scientific basis for understanding how English sounds are produced and articulated, which ultimately help learners improve their pronunciation. Thus, pronunciation is the practical application of the phonetics principles in the context of everyday communication and both complement each other to achieve better English language proficiency. Based on this, we can once again clarify that phonetics is the science of speech sound, provide an essential scientific basic for understanding how English sounds are produced and articulated. In contrast, pronunciation is the practical implementation of phonetic principle in the context of everyday communication. In other words, phonetic provides knowledge and pronunciation is the application of that knowledge. The two complement each other, where our good understanding of phonetic allow for more accurate pronunciation and good pronunciation reflect a strong understanding of phonetics. In fact, the next state that learning phonetics can be a shortcut to improving pronunciation because it provides tools and knowledge that facilitate the learner process. Thus, phonetic and pronunciation are two sides of the same coin in learning English, where phonetic provide the theoretical basic and pronunciation is its practical application. Fifth question. What do you know of phonology and pronunciation? What are the difference and how they relate to each other? Answer. After reading the English phonetic books, it can be concluded phonology and pronunciation are two different but closely related concepts. Phonology is a branch of linguistics that studies the sound system of a language, including how that sounds are arranged, grouped, and function to distinguish meanings. Phonology focus more on the analysis of sound patterns and rules that underlie a language, which is abstract and systematic. On the other hand, pronunciation is the physical realization of the sound of the language, namely how the sounds are actually pronounced by the speaker. Pronunciation involves aspects of articulation, intonation, and individual variation in sound production, so it is concrete and varied. The relationship between phonology and pronunciation can be likened to theory and practice. Phonology provides a framework of some rules, while pronunciation is the real implementation of those rules in everyday conversation. On the other words, phonology is the rules about sound in a language, while pronunciation is the implementation of those rules. In teaching English pronunciation, phonology should be applied to help the learner to be familiar with the following item. Last question. What are the implications of phonetics and phonology on teaching English pronunciation? In my answer, phonetics and phonology play a crucial role in the teaching of English pronunciation. Phonetics, which study the physical production and perception of speech sounds, help teacher and student understand how English sound are articulated. For example, many languages like the sound the, the, and phonetics helps demonstrate the precise tongue placement required to produce the sound. Phonology, on the other hand, focus on the sound system of language, including how sound are organized and function within a language. This helps in understanding sound patterns, sound change in different contexts, and stress and intonation, which are essential for natural sounding English pronunciation. Understanding phonology also helps to identify and address pronunciation challenges that arise from learner native language interference. Overall, phonetics and phonology provide the foundational knowledge uh, necessary for effective English pronunciation instruction, leading to clear communication and greater student confidence. That's all from me. I'm sorry for I have a mistake. So thanks for the attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.